This is Rudkowski of WeAreChange.org, and Bernie Sanders, everyone's talking about him. He's surging in the polls, and everyone's looking for him as the next solution, as the next answer. A lot of criticism on the right we hear is about how nothing is for free, how he's a socialist, but we're not hearing anything from the left. Well, I'm actually joined by the one and only peace warrior, Cindy Sheehan, and she has a lot of great, amazing perspective on Bernie Sanders that we're going to get into right now about who he really is as an individual. Now, Cindy, you were just telling me just some of the most incredible things that I never knew about the man, but what are some of the things that really stand out for you when it comes to Bernie Sanders?
Well, first of all, if he was a socialist, then he wouldn't be like an imperialist. And I am actually a socialist, so he's an imperialist. He supports war. The very first instance of this, well, in his public life, was when he was a very vocal supporter of Bill Clinton's invasion of Kosovo and that war when Bill Clinton was president. He actually just recently voted to make the Patriot Act permanent too, which isn't really a socialist people person kind of value. He is a Zionist. He actually has spoken in support of Israel in their bombardment of Gaza. He voted with the rest of the senators to support that, to send Israel solidarity in that. The only war he didn't vote for when he had the opportunity was Iraq, but many people didn't vote for Iraq, of course, in the Congress. But he did vote to give George Bush authorization to use military force in Afghanistan, which is something that Obama is still, he says, oh, I'll ask Congress if it's okay, to bomb the crap out of some country, but I don't really need it because of the AUMF for Afghanistan after 9/11. There's just so many things. He just recently said that if he's elected, he wouldn't stop the drone bombing program that Obama has expanded during his presidency. He supports the F-35, which has been proven to be, it's a tool of war, but it's also been proven to be an ineffective boondoggle tool of war. It's built in his state of Vermont. So there's just so many things. People say, Cindy, why don't you support him? Well, do you know me? I always ask people, do you know me? Because I don't support warmongering imperialists. And that's basically what Bernie Sanders, he supported Obama's bombing of Libya. He supports Obama's support of the neo-fascist Nazis in Kiev, Ukraine. They're starting to isolate Russia. And so Syria, all of these things. So it's like if I were a Democrat, because he is a Democrat now, he joined the Democrat Party, which to me is a war party. If I were a Democrat, then I might say, yeah, well, he's just going along with the Democratic Party, which is something that I fundamentally, he has voted, there's one more thing, he's voted more with the Democrats than some Democrats have. Yeah. And to me, they're the war party of Wall Street.
He's being paraded around like this pro-peace, anti-war candidate, and it's really interesting because some of the stuff you told me about, I never ever heard about. We may disagree politically on some ideologies, but one thing I have to say about Cindy Sheehan is that she's very principled on the main key issues that she stands on. Didn't Bernie Sanders also scream at people and tell them to shut up when people were asking him about his stance about Israel? That's explain that.
Well, this is all public record, of course. There's a YouTube of he was holding a town hall meeting in Vermont, and his constituents in Vermont actually have been on him since his support of the F-35 when he was mayor of Burlington. And no, I guess he was in Congress, I'm sorry. And so he had them arrested out of his office. And then they were confronting him about his pro-Israeli vote in the last bombardment of Gaza, and he was telling them to shut up and sit down. And another thing about Bernie Sanders that I was going to say, you go ahead, and
there's so many. We're just finding all this important information out.
Okay, so he's a Democrat. I don't support the Democratic Party. On the ground, there's some Democrats that are good people. Of course, there's some Republicans that are good people too. But anyway, Bernie Sanders has publicly stated that he is an admirer and a friend of Hillary Clinton. And to me, that would automatically disqualify him from my support. Hillary Clinton is like, to me, she's up there with George Bush and Dick Cheney as a war criminal. So, and he has said that if he loses the Democratic nomination, he would throw his support behind her. And to me, is inexcusable.
Yeah. Not only that, but also, you know, the fighter jets trying to supposedly keep jobs in his state, but meanwhile he's fueling the military-industrial complex.
I haven't heard a thing. So he has proposed like a 50-cent tax on every $100 transaction on Wall Street, which is to me a very mild reformist position to fund higher education. And a candidate that I could support would say we need to end the military-industrial complex and we need to close the bases and bring all the troops home. And then we would have like trillions of dollars to do good work here in America. But he doesn't say that. There's not one thing about foreign policy on his website. Nobody confronts him about foreign policy, because if they confronted him, then maybe they would have a little bit of, you know, cognitive dissonance or something in supporting him.
Yeah, it makes no sense, because he does promise a lot of financial things, but how can he do that if he doesn't cut the military-industrial complex? It would only make sense with all the things that he's promising. You cut that huge amount of the budget, then you could actually have all those things, but he's not doing that in any way, shape, or form. And that's where a lot of criticism on the right. And I thank you for that criticism on the left, because we never hear it on the mainstream media. All we hear is about how he's this socialist, leftist, peaceful, pro-humanity, anti-corporate, anti-warmongering guy, but the reality is not true at all. Now, go ahead.
I just want to add one more thing. There's plenty of money here in the United States. There's plenty of resources. It's where it's allocated to. And there's all kinds of money for human need, but it's put to corporate greed and militarism, and that's not something that Bernie is addressing.
Cindy, thank you so much for that very interesting, compelling breakdown. Where can people find out more information about you? And what else you got going on? We were just here at Occupy Peace. You gave a great speech as well, but just tell us your website and what you're doing right now.
Well, I do have my podcast, Cindy Sheehan Soapbox, and if people just Google Cindy Sheehan Soapbox, they can go to my blog and to the podcast. And I've been kind of low-key lately because my sister has stage 4 breast cancer. So if everybody, she was my assistant, my comrade, my best friend, my sister, if everybody can send healing thoughts our way, it seems like we're winning the battle, but we're not out of the woods yet. So Cindy Sheehan Soapbox.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Really appreciate your time and that amazing perspective as well. If you like this video, click the like button, and don't forget to subscribe. We're going to have a lot more videos coming here on youtube.com/wearechange.